So I'm going to be explaining mechanics on um, the positives and negatives of Digimon Survive, which is basically more of a tactics type of game. It's different to the other games as it lacks a lot of, stuff and whatever. So the first thing off, I'm gonna start with the negatives. So the bad part of the negatives is well, is the tactics thing. The tactic change from like what you would usually do in like normal Digimon games, so it's a switch around, which I'm not really too fond of. To be honest, it can be quite boring. Um, Prologue, that can be boring as well. When you don't get into the digital world at the start, that's another problem. As for the Digivolutions of Digimon, not all of them are accurate, which is a bit confusing and whatever. And you progress into the game, it's confusing, um, because the order of the Digivolution based on how your Digimon would digivolve is to do with on your moral and whatever, and you can't really choose on who your partner Digimon would digivolve into, which is a disappointment. I don't like it. Because I'm used to more of, your Digimon turning into, their original Digivolutions, like, Agumon going into Greymon, and then it's other Digivolutions right after. But for me, he turned into Tyrannomon, and then he went into Triceramon, which makes no sense because I don't like the way, he digivolves into that. Now, the way I think he should have digivolved is based on, his original digivolution route. Like, if you chose the dark side, depending on your morale or whatever, you would either go into one of his darker routes, which would be more of Black Greymon, which would have worked better, or towards the possibilities of Skull Greymon, which, as it becomes a bit more evil, as it would go down that route. Now, that would have made more sense. So that would have probably been random, depending, again, on the choice. So, say, for example, the random encounter would have had you go down the route of that, Greymon's, normal Greymon, whatever. Or say if you went down, the the anti sort of route, which is to do with Agumon again, but to do with the dark route. But this time he doesn't go towards Skull Greymon. He goes towards more of like the middle section where he'd become like say black you know Black Greymon, and then towards Black Metal Greymon, and then towards Blackwall Greymon, which would have made more sense on the Digivolution route. So there is basically a lot wrong with the Digivolution route. So there is a lot more Digimon that just don't seem to add up, like Neomon. Neomon doesn't make sense on its Digivolution route because I don't know, it has two Digivolutions that are just confusing because I know for a fact he doesn't go into the teddy bear one, which is Monzamon. He doesn't go into that, and then he doesn't go into the other one because Digimon is more based on his Neomon route. So the Neomon route would have been more of that yellow pilly type Digimon, which you would see in Digimon Wild 4 and so on. That's the type of Digimon Neomon would have been. So which is pretty awful. One of them I can probably get is Sayakamon. Being, um, well, being Shellmon in ways, and whenever certain other Digimon just don't add up is Floramon. Floramon wouldn't make sense. Going into Vegemon, it doesn't seem to make sense. Because Floramon just looks like a female Digimon rather than a male Digimon. Um, so again, it doesn't add up. When you think about it. So that's another problem. One of Falcomon's Digivolutions doesn't add up because it's not bird-like, like him. So again, that one doesn't make sense either. And then there's a lot for other Digivolutions that again just don't make sense, to be honest. So so okay, so I'm just gonna bring some up and have a look. Right. Let's see. No, not that, not that, not that. Okay, so when you look at Agumon's chart, yeah. So depending on morale, excuse me for a sec, I've spilled my coke. I'll be right back. um, oh god, this is bad. I can't know.
Moms end up telling us you read a talk to us about games.
Okay, so yeah, back to the route. Based on a morale, that doesn't work. Again, that route doesn't work. That route pretty much does because, again, like I said before, that's his actual route. So again, it would make more sense. I mean, it's clearly a shame that that it's like that and such. So, okay, so I think I forgot my remote. Hang on a sec. Okay. Back to explaining. More Digilution routes. So this one right here, Labramon. Now, the dog thing makes more sense because, well, for once, it's a dog. So you'd have like Labramon, Dobermon, and Severusmon, which makes sense in Digilution that it's dog, but I don't know if it's canon in Digilution. As for Seadramon's route, you would have like Betamon, Seadramon. Then you'd have Mega Seadramon and then Metal Seadramon, which works Digilution wise, because that Digilution was actually fine. Falcomons though, like I mentioned, there's Falcomon. Dietrimon makes no sense. It's not really a bird, but Cromon does because it is a bird. So apparently you're gonna look at like Andromon. So the one thing about Andromon, his is pretty messed up. Because when you're actually Gadramon, it makes sense, but when you apparently go into like Andromon from Gadramon, well, Gadramon going into Andromon makes sense, but him going into either Pinemon or Machine Dryamon doesn't work. Because I've seen Andromon's other Digilution in other games and whatever, which works, but changing it in this doesn't make sense at all. So moving on to these two. I don't know, the Digilution just doesn't seem like it fits. Drachmon going into Sanglu Lotmon, I don't know, I don't see the connection between them, to be honest. Because I think Drachmon probably would have been something else entirely, I think. So anyway, moving on to Sayakamon, such. So you've got Sayakamon there. And then you've got Shellmon there. Now, that actually looks like a canon Digilution, which could happen. Because, for one, the shell of Sayakamon is actually pink, and it has green goo inside. And whatever, it's like a shell, so it would make sense for Shellmon. So, moving on to the next Digilution. Now, that's a problem, that one, because Floramon looks like a girl rather than a boy and whatever, who would fit more towards like a different type of Digimon, but Vegemon? No. It doesn't work. Yeah, so that clearly doesn't work on the Digilution scale. It just looks wrong, to be honest. Now, Myotis, apparently, so apparently Myotismon doesn't work either, because, you know, his is supposed to be a different Digilution entirely, because I don't see him going into Bilgemon or, you know, Balbaumon. I don't see him going into any of those two, because they just don't fit. Because the one that goes into Bilgemon is apparently to do with Impmon. It doesn't add up at all. So yeah. So as I was saying before, there's Gardramon. Makes sense for him to go into Andromon, which is there. Apparently. So apparently with Tuskmon, it would make sense for him to go into Triceramon, because of the horns and such. So apparently you've got Yakimon's form right there in the middle, which is Zudumon. This one I don't know because he's new. He's called Fangmon, and such. Now I think Marine Devimon should have been a connection more to like Myotismon's scale, like similar or whatever. To maybe like Impmon, which would have worked better. Right, so moving on to Angelman, it works because they definitely got her down because I did have Garamon, which apparently she did evolve into Angelman, and then she would evolve into Magna Doraemon, so they definitely got that one down. So as for Edamon, they have got him wrong. They haven't even got the metal Edamon there. It's Piedmon, which makes absolutely no sense at all. Another one I want to apparently point at is Dukamon. Now, Dukamon is supposed to have the spider form there somewhere, but it's not there, unfortunately. It's just these three, and they make absolutely no sense. Because what I mean, apparently, by Dukamon's more like a spider villain. Whatever. So there's an example for Nuamon. That's what it goes in. Basically, that's what it says it goes in, but it doesn't really. It's another example. Now, another one they physically screwed up is Wendigomon. Wendigomon doesn't really go in any of those two. He goes into a totally different Digimon entirely, usually. Because usually he goes into like an evil Akilamon, which is apparently similar to the good version of like like the other side or whatever. So, but the Digivolution right there is wrong. That's another thing to point out. Now, I don't know Deltamon's Digivolution route entirely, so I don't really know, so I can't even say anything about that. But Meramon, they definitely got right because there's blue Meramon right there. That makes actual sense. Not sure his last evolution on the last one. As for Magna Angemon, they definitely have got it nailed down from Patamon to Angemon to Magna Angemon and then Sephiamon, which is right there. They definitely got him down. So that one's correct. Now, as for Birdramon going into another Digimon like Guradamon, that could actually make sense because that actually is canon. So that one makes sense as of right now. So apparently I'm going to point out more in the evolution route. Let's have a look. Nope. No, not that. Nope, not that one. I'm pretty sure there was more. Nope, not that one. That one I don't know. Yeah, so there's the route again for Betamon, because it goes middle, which is Seadramon, and then it goes into that one, which would eventually go into that one right there. So that is apparently to do with Seadramon's line, which is correct, unfortunately. So yeah, that one's spot on. That's right. As for Chronomon, well, I basically reckonly that one basically, so that one goes into that one, so that one actually looks canon. As for the last evolution, I don't really know for Mega, to be honest. Might be messed up, I think. Might not be on board or something like that. Yeah, so there's the evolution line for like Patamon. So that one is spot on at this point. Like I said before, which adds up. Okay, which one I have to point out? Let's see. No, not that one. And again, there's that spider one that's supposed to be from Dokemon. Dokemon's evolution line, which doesn't work on most Digivolution lines. Yeah, so that one doesn't work for Falcomon, to be honest. It's not like a bird. Well, it doesn't really look like one. Let's Yeah, so again, there's Gatamon's line right there, which works because had actual lines actually there, such. There's Tyrannomon, the one I got, which I didn't really want. I wanted Greymon, but I ended up getting him anyway. I can't really force to have him. If only recruiting Agumon in the game was an option. So then I'd be able to start from scratch, and possibly get Greymon. Right, let's see. Okay, not that one. Not that one. I've already pointed that one out. Okay, so the looks of it, there is not really much else I can point out about the Digivolutions right now. So pretty much that is all. Basically, it's the Digivolution shown off at this point. Okay, so back to the topic about the game so far. It's not that good. So when I say it's not that good, the story can lag from time to time. Might have some laughs there and there with your partner Digimon. You can't choose your gender, which is bad because you can't really choose your gender at all. And whatever, you can't really have fun most of the time with your Digimon, but it just feels like a Digimon simulator. So the reason I say it's like a Digimon simulator is because of all the choices and whatever that you take and whatever, and depending on how it goes, it would lead towards some serious decisions in the game itself. Some of it is quite boring. The choices and whatever, it's pretty boring as a game. Yeah, so if anyone was apparently thinking about getting the game, just don't. It's boring. I've actually been playing it for a couple of days now, well, more than a couple of days, and it's not really that good. So pretty much you have like a team or whatever. A couple of Digimon just die off the bat. You can't really save them. So far in my story, I'm actually in part 7 or whatever. So far, the ones that have died so far in the game is Lotmon. Lotmon has died, and so has the yellow caterpillar or whatever. I forget its name, but it has died in the earlier on in the game. So that's like 2 enemies dead. Also, basically, the way Lotman died was because of its tamer. However, I couldn't really change his attitude or towards the Digimon to, stop neglecting that Digimon because of the abuse thing. But as for the other Digimon tamers, they're all fine. They're not causing harm to the Digimon and whatever. Yada 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 yada. I do intend to like Agumon more in the game than the others because, of his funny personality. I do like that side of Agumon because he has this thing with making people laugh. Definitely makes me laugh a couple times in the game, which is a good positive sort of thing because I always whenever they have the chance to talk to him, I do. I talk to him, and he usually finds things and whatever, which I do like on that side and whatever. So, one other thing I have to mention, which is a bad thing though, when you recruit Digimon, it's pretty bad because they're always low. The recruitment chance of recruiting them is always low, so it's a bit harder to recruit them. based on your like morale and stuff and whatever. It's awful. There's probably a lot like me that said something like this, that said it's not good. With the recruitment of Digimon and whatever, it's pretty much rubbish. Um, it's rubbish, to be honest. Really, really rubbish. Yeah, so it's trash. Compared to the other games like Digimon World 3 and so on, they were a bit easier, I think. They had better mechanics with Digimon and so on and whatever. But with Data Squad, you actually could recruit Digimon, I think. But it was easier, I think. I think that's how you did it, I think. Yeah, so there was actually better Digimon games than that, where you could recruit certain Digimons and whatever, and get like better Digimon and whatever. So yeah, so basically the recruiting thing just feels like a pain in the ass, similar to, like kind of like similar to like other Digimon games, which was a pain in the ass, because it's like, Digimon World 1, for example, it's kind of like that. That was a pain in the ass because you had to, like, do constantly everything in order to, like, recruit certain Digimon or whatever to join your area or whatever. That was pretty, well, weird. Yeah, because Digimon World 1 used to basically really rage me with all the things that had happened because the Digimon wanted to go crap or wanted to do this or wanted food or something like that. I was like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, so it's kind of like sort of similar or whatever. So again, it's more of like, well, this game is more of, yeah, so Digimon Survive is more apparently of a game from point A to point B, or whatever. That's all it pretty is. There's no actual running around. It's more of click and whatever. That's all it is. It's mainly just that, to be honest. Just point, click, whatever. Battle in tactics or whatever. And then more talking, which is a lot of bloody talking in the game, which again can get pretty boring as well, and such. It does lag in Digimon personality a bit more. So I think it would have been better if they did, like an open world Digimon game, where you would have, say, like it'd be online or whatever, and you'd have a Digimon by your side, based on which Digimon you want from the get go. Something like that. Like, you would choose your Digi-Egg depending on which Digimon you're after. And then when your Digimon is ready to evolve, you select on which Digimon that Digimon would Digivolve into. And so on. So it would go down that route, without having to, it'd be more based on level instead. So it wouldn't to do with anything with stats or anything like that. It would just be based on your decision when you get to a certain level. So that would be better, because Digimon World 3 actually felt a bit better. Something like that would have been similar. But except you wouldn't use stats or like training or whatever, you just apparently just fight battle and that's it. Your thing would go up and then say, oh, you've reached this level in order to digivolve, and then you would select it, and then it would have your Digimon digivolve into that Digivolution, and then bam, that would be it. And then if you have, like, say, a rideable Digimon, you'd be able to ride on it. If it could either fly or run around, something like that, or even surf across water or whatever. That's something Bandai should do, I think. And I think Bandai is lacking Digimon skills at this point, because their Digimon games just keep getting worse and worse and worse. They don't get any better. And I think somebody should step in, and take the Digimon IP and making really good games out of it. maybe somebody that knows Digimon very, very well. Somebody that understands it and would actually give out everything they've got. Something like that. This is why the games are failing and whatever. Yeah. So, when I actually do eventually complete Digimon Survive, I'll give a full-on rating on the rating of the game itself, and such. I will give a rating on it on what I think the rating is of it. So apparently that's all I've got to say, and